and they call him the Technician.
Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Technician Podcast. I am pumped for this. I can already tell your energy's epic, and I'm excited to be able to give you a platform, Riley, today to just talk some real shit, because it sounds like you haven't had a chance to do it for a while.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and it's always different being on the other end of the mic when you're not the one hosting. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a big conversation of talking shit.
How's it feel letting go of control?
It's good. I actually enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
It's going to be cool.
So one thing I'd love to dive straight into, because it's just come to me and we talked about it before. Have you had the ability to have a man that can help lead so you can drop into your feminine much and just allow that surrender?
We're straight into it. No, I haven't. I don't feel like in my life so far, I always either had a partner or my ex for a really long time. We were together for 9 years, from 14.
Oh, wow.
Well, I was 14 through to 23. So I've been with him a very long time, and yeah, I haven't ever really experienced that anywhere in my life, and I probably never really found safety in a man in his divine masculine, if you want to call it that, or just in his masculine in a really healthily integrated way.
And do you find that's probably something that's quite common now with, like, I'm assuming with your audience, with a lot of women that come to you for your coaching and guidance and everything? Because we know obviously business is so important, right? There's a lot of very strong masculine women getting around now, which is awesome. But I'm finding also it's very hard to find men who are integrated in that and know how to actually support and lead, and rather than be little boys, they can't be men. Like, you finding it's an issue now with you doing your own thing, finding that man that could do that for you or be that for you. And you're hearing that around your circles as well.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, because I think in the last couple of months I've been looking at this work so much more in myself, and just even seeing how masculine I've become. And I find it really hard to receive, and I find it really hard to not be in control and not lead and all the different things. So I would say that in my past relationship, it was more so me being so on my masculine as well that contributed to me not actually allowing my partner to lead, because I'm earning the money, I'm doing the thing, I'm business driven, I'm whatever. And in my life, I think, reflecting on my life up until this point, I've always taken on a lot of responsibility for everyone else's stuff. And with that, I've really learnt over time to suppress my own needs, emotions, whatever. And I kind of always put myself in a position to serve and provide instead of receive. So, yeah.
Why is that?
I think from a very young age, if I was to think about, my childhood, it was very chaotic, and I always felt very responsible for everyone else's stuff, whether it was, things with my parents or my sister. And then obviously I met my partner at a very young age. We navigated a lot very early on in our relationship. That was huge. And I just learned, or again, from a concept of self-preservation perspective, all the things, I just decided that from a very young age, I need to be the one that is essentially the glue that holds everything together. I'm the one who fixes everything. I'm the stable one. I'm the grounded one. I'm the one that everyone comes to for help, support, whatever. And I just learnt to navigate things on my own. So now, having space held for me, or someone even saying, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm okay. And I could be in the hardest season of my life and no one would know about it.
Well, I find that, and thank you for sharing that so openly. I find it very powerful for you to be able to do that. And I believe most people should have the capacity to do so. But do you have anyone that can hold you in that? Like, in your female friends, like, you're able to allow yourself to just like melt and cry and feel those emotions when you need them as well?
Well, it's been so interesting, because I would say that separating with my partner recently, or towards the end of last year, that was the first time that a lot of stuff came to a head for me.
Yep.
And it was almost as if all the things that I had suppressed for a really long time surfaced and I could no longer suppress them. And for the first time really in my life, I just let myself be completely vulnerable to a lot of the friends in my life. And I have incredible friendships. I'm so lucky for even the mentors I have in my life and the friendships that I built through the coaching industry and just over the last couple of years. But there's still an element where I feel responsible for them, not that I am, and that's my own stuff. So I feel like I can't crumble because I'm the glue that holds everyone together, even though that's just a narrative that I've adopted over a very long time.
Yeah, but I feel like it's very felt through probably the women that you bring in too, right? Because it's like who we are, we will attract. And do they ever explain that to you? Do they feel open enough to share those sort of things on a one-on-one basis as well?
Yeah, and I would say that I'm always sort of the go-to person for that, in my life where, it could be my sister, my mum, my dad, my ex, it could be anyone, especially, it's ironic that I'm in the coaching industry and that's what I've put myself in. And I love it, but I'm always in a position to serve. Yep. And I'm always in a position to hold space. And that's self-inflicted in a sense, because that's where, I've recently actually come to really piece some things together. And I know that I feel in relationships that I need to be needed and not wanted. And I actually don't know how to be wanted and not needed.
Wow. So what are you going to do when you're faced with that?
I can feel already how challenging that's going to be to undo. And I would say that I'm at the cusp of looking at this and realizing what has been for a really long time. And it was interesting. I'm seeing a somatic coach at the moment, and she said to me, well, what would it feel like for you, for all these people in your life that you're supporting, giving advice to, whatever, to change and to take your advice on board? How would that feel? And I thought, well, it would probably feel like I'm no longer needed. And I said it in a way of like, oh, probably just wouldn't feel like I'm needed anymore. And then I thought about that, and so much of my worth and how I feel loved and accepted is in my ability to help and my ability to fix. So if I don't need to fix anything, if they don't need me, what then?
Yeah, wow. It's so interesting because I see it play out for myself too. It's very much having been in relationships where either I've had partners leave or I've left or I've been emotionally abusive in the past. I've now got a beautiful fiance, right? That like we are just everything's great. I think we've argued once in 2 years. Such a beautiful relationship. Shout out to my Mrs. Christelle and our dog Louie, a little sausage dog. But for me, I guess we talk about shadows, right? We jump into this aspect. Everything's so good. I wonder, is it too good sometimes? And then I feel my self-sabotage kick in. And I go, I need to create some chaos. I can feel my unconscious literally go, everything's too sweet. Everything's too good. Why doesn't she fucking want to fight me? Why doesn't she want to get at me about something? Why won't she tell me what she's really feeling? Because I'm sitting in my mind going, this isn't right. This isn't normal for me because I've been programmed to believe a certain thing, right? So is there still things for you that's the same there where it's like when everything's good, can you be calm in that? Or do you almost find yourself sometimes looking for the chaos in things?
It's interesting because I think I'm at a stage now with the level of work that I've done where I don't create chaos unnecessarily and I don't look for it. I feel very grounded in my life. And even when shit hits the fan and everything just feels completely cooked, I can still come home to myself. And I know that, something I always say is it's like my mind is mine for life. And that needs to be the safest place for me to come home to.
Of course. Oh, let's touch on that real quick because I know this is going to be really valuable for anyone listening.
Yeah.
How do you create that? I know it's a lot of steps, but what's been the main things for you to create that for you?
For sure, we could just say shadow work, but it's emotional intelligence. And I think until you have the self-awareness to then become emotionally intelligent, mature, all the things, it's almost impossible to live a life with minimal resistance. Yeah. And you will look for chaos. You will self-sabotage. You will do all of these things unconsciously because a part of you doesn't have awareness around, one, what you're doing, but more importantly, why you're doing it. Yeah. And I think it's one thing to go, oh, I self-sabotage, but it's like, well, what contributes to that and why do I continually repeat the same patterns and cycles and then wonder why I'm not making progress or I keep, ending relationships or I keep, just being a shitty person, like whatever it may be. I have so much compassion for people, so much compassion, and you may feel the same way because when you know what we know and when you have the awareness that we have, it's to an extent, it's really hard to not self-gaslight because someone can do something really terrible to you or to someone and you can see it. You know what's contributed and you're like, I have compassion for you because I know it's X, Y, and Z. And the thing in that is you so badly want to help and then it comes into the fixing. So my default is, okay, this is a really shitty thing. Now I'm going to fix it. It's not my responsibility to fix it. And that's the hardest thing for me personally to detach from. It's not my responsibility.
That is such an incredible topic, and thank you for bringing that to my awareness because, like, I'm the same. I could be fucking walking along the street and get stabbed and be like, I know it's okay. He was abused as a kid.
Yes.
It's fine, brother. Go keep going, man. I'm good.
You're like, okay, let's sit down and chat about why you felt.
Why did you just stab me? I don't know.
I'm bleeding out, but we'll hold that.
Literally, it's like I'm at that degree where, like you said the other day, it's like I see everything for as who I am, not how it is. Every single moment, and it can be a detriment to us, right? Because
massively,
we'll literally just be like, have so much compassion for someone who's just fucked us over. Took money. Have you had issues with people not paying you money before with things like that? And in my mind, I go, oh, it's like, hey, I know, like they're dealing with stuff. Like, oh, it'll come.
They've got wounding around money. Maybe that's their
right. So it's like it starts to. It's like, and also my integrity and my loyalty to myself then leaks into other people in a good way, but also to a fault.
Yeah.
It's like I'm loyal to a fault. I'm getting myself into issues because I'm too loyal to someone. Right, and that obviously just landed for you too.
Yeah.
Have you been hurt many times in regards to loyalty in your past?
Yeah. Yeah. And just the blind side in that. Because I think it's the compassion piece, and there's so many lessons for me in that where it's like you actually, I always lead with having a very generous assumption of everyone.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, I'm going to assume the most generous thing. You could completely fuck me over and I'm like, I'm going to still assume the most generous thing about you because it's the way I want to lead my life. I'm protecting my peace in that. But where it comes to a detriment is when, from an ego perspective, my reactivity is always to self-gaslight. So I'm always looking for ways where I'm like, oh, how can I take responsibility? You just fucked me over, but what have I done that's contributed to that? Or where
how
can
is this
I?
Me?
Totally. And for me in that, it's to avoid conflict. And I personally don't know how to walk away from something without trying to fix it. And that is my biggest strength and greatest weakness.
Yeah, and great way to put it because it is a strength. It's a beautiful piece of you. And I know that's been me my entire life. Like I'm 34 this year.
Yeah.
And my entire life being 6'5" and the size I am. And yet I've never liked conflict. Now I like conflict. Now, and this is the integration piece for any men that are listening and women. I talk so much about embracing your monster. That's probably one of the biggest things I help people integrate. It's like everyone has a dark side. Everyone has this fucking monster in them that wants to rip people apart. Yeah. And until you actually meet him head on or her, it will control you forever.
Yeah.
Right? But as soon as you embrace that, and for most men it's your masculine, it's the warrior. We all have this like beast, wild man in us. And until we actually meet him at our darkest depths, he will continue to show his face in pieces in life. It's like, oh shit, it just leaked out when you called your partner on something, right? For any women listening, it's like you've just called your husband on his deepest shadow insecurity, and then that monster comes out in an unintegrated way. He lashes out or says something rude or, is abusive. But it's like if he had control of that monster, spoke his truth, was intentional towards conflict, like crucial conversations, he wouldn't let that shit leak out. Like I did a video last night, I don't know if you saw it, but I used to be like Bobby Boucher, the water boy. I'd be full like, if someone said something bad to me, because I didn't know how to deal with actually speaking how I felt to that person, because I was scared of conflict, like you just said. So how do you deal with them with conflict now? Do you find that you've actually been able to learn how to do that a little bit more?
Well, it's been so interesting because since separating from my partner, I feel like I've just seen like this new level of like ruthlessness from myself where I'm like, I'm not fucking around anymore. If something's not what I want, I'm speaking to that. If something's disrespectful, I'm speaking to that because I just don't want any shit anymore. And because I always took responsibility and I always self-gaslit and I would always have a reason for why someone or something did the thing that they did, I'm done. I'm done with making excuses for people, and not in a way that I don't have so much love and so much compassion for them. But what I'm realizing now is I can have compassion and still leave, and I can have compassion and walk away, and I can have compassion and remove myself from the situation because it's not my responsibility. And I think, even speaking to men in that way, it's so cool now, like the era that we're moving into and just the world where more people are having these conversations, because you see it, and even like, you know, whether it's your uncles or your dad or whoever else, you know, the older generation, and you just see how much work lies there. But not that it's too late, but potentially in their mind it's too late.
Yeah.
Like they would never actually take the time to now focus on that. But for men now, you know, teens into their 30s, it's like, wow, what a space you have to lean in and actually just be held in all of the things. And I feel that we're in a time where men don't know how to be men.
Oof, clip that. It's horrific how bad it is.
It's really bad.
It's like, so, and this is a topic I'd love to touch on, because it's something I brought up the other day. I'm about to take on a young lad who's 17. He's special. I was on his podcast yesterday, Ronan. He wants to run from the sunny coast to Victoria for mental health, because he watched Ned Brockman do it, and he's seen his mates pass, and he's had suicidal thoughts and all the things. This kid's like a 60-year-old man. The shit he's asking me, I'm like, you're wise. I would love to work with you, because I know if I had someone like me at your age, I wouldn't have dealt with the shit I dealt with. I wouldn't have gone down the path of wanting to drive my car into a fucking tree. Like, and it's so special now to be that man for other men. Because I know what you just said. It's so true. It's bad, Riley. Like, the shit men are dealing with, but it's their selves. Like, they don't want to face themselves. They'd rather fight another man than fight themselves. Like, it's fucked. And I can't even, no matter how much branding and sales and marketing I do, to get a man to come into his own darkness, and like, I've got my hand out going, bro, I've been through this, I've got you. And they still won't do it. It's so frustrating, dude. It's so hard. And I struggle in this industry because I have such a big heart and I care. But I'm in a business where I'm trying to help the unhelpable. I'm trying to, like, literally, like, I help women too, and they're willing, like, they go to the fucking depths. My female clients are sick. They do all the things I need them to do. And I do have some epic male clients, and I have had some epic male clients. They're still doing it. I don't want to say that no men are doing the work, because we've got heaps of coming to the retreats and workshops, but it's 90% to 10%.
Yeah.
Right? You see that, right? So I guess, like, what is it? What would it be for you? What would the man have to be able to be with someone like yourself? Because I think a lot of men would see someone like yourself, right? Which there's a lot of women like yourself now. Very successful, look after themselves, emotionally intelligent, all the things, strong, loving, all the things. And they're intimidated by you because they know you're going to mirror every single bit of insecurity in them. What is it in a man that you would need in your life to help you feel comfortable with them? Yeah,
it does. It makes me even emotional, because I'm like, oh, does he exist? And I know logically, yes, but it is that resistance where it's like, just lean the fuck in.
Yeah.
Just lean the fuck in. And I think there's just so much fear in men. And you see that, you know, there's so much fear associated with the work. And it's like, when you stop looking at the work like, oh, it's the work.
The work, yeah.
You know, it's internal freedom on a whole new level, you know. And it's even just that internal conflict that I think so many men experience, so many people experience. But the amount of conversations I've had recently, or things that I've heard around men in their 20s and 30s, you know, suicidal, attempting, whatever, I cannot believe it. You know, I cannot believe just the frequency of that conversation, how often you hear it, how many people, once they are given the space to express that, experience it. And it is that self-sabotage through not feeling good enough. And I think what can happen in a lot of relationships, and I think this happens often for, you know, any man in their teens into their 20s and into their 30s, is potentially that their partner starts to grow, the separation starts to become really, really evident. And then it's the feelings of insecurity, feelings of not feeling good enough, feeling like I'll never catch up. And because that separation feels too big, okay, cool, I'm going to go and get it out of my system elsewhere. I'm going to go and self-sabotage elsewhere. When I think a lot of men now, and this is a huge generalization, and I will preface with that. I think a lot of men now think women want certain things that they don't actually want. They want me to be rich. They want me to be this. They want me to be that. They actually just want you to be a man in the relationship and provide.
It's pretty simple, isn't it?
It's simple.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, it's a huge conversation because it can go in so many directions, but I think it's the fact that so many of us and even our generation has been raised by people that this was to an extent shunned.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a pussy. Don't be this. Get over it. Toughen up. Like all of the things.
Sure as hell don't do what I just did before.
Exactly.
Don't show vulnerability.
Because you're weak and then you're this. When really it's like how, to me seeing you in that, I'm like one of the strongest people I would then know.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like that is strength and that is someone who's willing to be seen in all of it. Always. And it's being consciously integrated. It's like when we stop pedestaling emotions or we stop pedestaling a certain way of being, that's a really freeing thing. And I think the biggest thing in that too is that, you know, one, everyone is everything. So circling back to what you were saying before around something will happen as a catalyst for all of the suppressed shit coming out, and then your partner has a out of character moment because he's yelling at you or he's cheated on you or he's lying to you or whatever it may be. It's like, no, it's not out of character. You just are who you are in the worst environment. And if you don't look at that, it will be your undoing. And it will be your undoing over and over and over and over because it's not mutually exclusive to one relationship and it's not mutually exclusive to one job. And that's the problem. Oh, I fucked up that relationship. Okay, I'm going to go do this now. Oh, I fucked up that experience. Okay, I'm going to go do this now. This will be your life until the end of time, until you wake up one day and go, I fucking had enough.
Spot on. You couldn't be more correct with that. And it's even worse is what comes from that is go, oh, all chicks are the same, fucking rah. It's like, bro, look yourself in the mirror and see who the common denominator is in this situation. Now, look, again, I see things for what they are. I know that there's probably women as well in this space where it's like there's things that have gone down the path of not allowing their man to step into their masculine and all this other sort of shit, right? But it's got to be, both sides need to be like, hey, let's sort this out. Let's start to really figure out what it is that's holding us back and get this going, right? So we've already done, I feel like, 30 minutes and it felt like 10 seconds. But I would love to go into your story and thank you for all that because that was beautiful. And I know we could probably talk for another 4 hours on it. But one thing I'd love to get from you in this day is like obviously a bit of your story, what's helped you overcome, some of your best tips around business and everything, the things that you are obviously amazing at, right? So the first thing would be, what were those early days of struggle like getting to where you are now?
In business specifically? Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things when I look back at my journey, so I started my business straight out of high school. I tried the uni thing. I did what I was quote unquote supposed to do. It lasted 5 minutes. I planned my business the entire time. I quit and I started my PT business because I was qualified at the time. And luckily my parents had given me a space out the back of our home. I trained clients out of there. I set up my gym. I had probably $300. I'd just come home from Europe after high school and I just went hard. My dad had always said to me, you work full-time or you study full-time. And I'm a very stubborn person and I knew, I'm like, there's no way I'm working for someone. So I have to make my business full-time hours quick smart if this is going to, you know, be the path that I want to take and what I want to do. And I just went hard from the beginning. And something I guess about me is I'm very stubborn for one, but I don't allow too much time for contemplation. So I think contemplation is so important in every decision that you make, but I think people don't understand that point of when contemplation turns into procrastination.
I was just about to ask that. So thank you.
Yeah. And reflecting now, I would never have the articulation or language. I spoke completely differently 5 years ago. And don't you find in the coaching industry and in this work, you get this new vocab and you know that people would hear you speak and be like, what planet?
Bro, what?
What are you talking about? But I would never have been like contemplation into procrastination. But that's that actually is what it was.
Yeah.
And I've always led that way. So I think that was sort of my biggest strength early days. What was my biggest downfall was just the lack of systems and structure and knowledge on business itself. So for 2 years, I'm going hard and I'm doing my thing and I'm undercharging and I'm eating all the frogs and whatever. And I built a lot of success. But then, 2 years in, I decided to get a business coach, and that's when things really went boom for me.
Oh, so what was that first thing that she or he said to you that you were like, oh my God, why am I not doing that? Do you remember that at all?
Well, the biggest thing was actually just holding me to the investment. So I had reached out and I was like, yep, I'm doing it. And everyone around me, and not to their fault, was like, are you really going to pay this person X amount of money? Like,
how much was it?
It was $6,000 for 6 months.
Cool.
So
yep.
a
That's
very,
great.
very reasonable investment. Yep. And I didn't have any idea of what the spectrum was at that point. So that just felt like, a lot of money. But I was in and I was doing it. And then I was sort of talking to my partner, my family, my friends, and they were like, why would you pay this random lady? Like, what's she really going to do for you? And I thought, yeah, true. Like, what is she really going to do for me?
I still think that sometimes. Like, obviously I know what I'm worth, but I can still understand why people are like, bro, what?
Fully.
What do you mean that much? Like,
and it's new. Like, it's such a new industry as well. So, of course, there's going to be projections and judgment and all the things around that. But I called her and I was like, hey, I'm actually going to pull out. And she was like, Riley, I actually said to you on our first call that I was going to hold you to this. So lovingly, you're not going to pull out.
Oof.
And at the time I probably felt a bit like, oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, fuck this bitch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was just the absolute catalyst for everything moving, everything changing.
Yeah.
And I think about 4 months later, I went from doing $900 a week in my PT business to an 120K launch, and it's just sort of gone from there.
Amazing. Congrats, first of all.
You.
But that right there is something I really want to focus on for a sec, because how many people do you have come to you that are like, they're just sitting here, they're just floating. They're like, Riley, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't get to that next stage. What are some things you normally tell them to help them go break through that barrier, break through that shadow, whatever it is, to help them actually start to go to the next level?
Yeah, well, from a sales perspective, like, it's creating safety in that for the client. A big thing is I'll always let that person have their process. Some people will come to you after 4 years of following you and opt into a $70 masterclass, and that was their process. Yeah. Others will find your page one day and then pay you $20K in full for mentorship.
Yep.
That's the process. So for me, I always want to create safety for them in that transaction and going, this actually isn't a me thing. So even if we're doing the back and forth of like, what else can you tell me about the thing? Or just like, tell me if this is going to be worth my investment. I'll always actually let that fall back on the person. It's like, this is a you thing and I'm not making the decision for you. Because from a leadership perspective, one, you're outsourcing your power if it's your choice and not mine. Yep. And I think you and I both know this, but you can never force someone to change. You can try. You can try. I've tried.
Yeah.
You can't. You just can't. And everyone's on their own path and journey in that sense, and they will move if and when they're ready to move. So for me, I probably earlier days used to feel a bit more heavy-handed in like convert. Yeah. Now I'm like, you have your process. And that level of leadership in terms of how neutral and grounded and safe you are for that person, they're likely going to opt in, because even if they tap out for 2 weeks, they're going to come back and go, oh, she didn't do any weird shit.
She didn't try to manipulate me or anything. Like, I know you really need to do this. Like, there's like, hey, fuck, you can do what you want.
Come or don't come. I'm going to be here either way.
Cool. I like that, because that's as I step, because I'm still pretty new to this industry technically. I've only been in it like solidly for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right. So I was doing something called Tech Talks for about $50 for a coffee catch up. After starting the podcast, I realized I was very good at asking questions, holding space, energetically feeling into it, all the things I know now. Yeah. At the time, I was like, why are they crying? What the fuck did I just do? And then they walk away going, I don't know what you did, but I feel like I'm floating off the ground. So I've unlocked something energetically. I've allowed them to speak. I've given them someone to actually unload their shit onto that had no judgment whatsoever. Yeah. Now we can say that, but people feel that, right? So I love that you can literally, for anyone listening who's got a business, is a coach, whatever, you don't have to manipulate anyone in this game. It doesn't have to be like that. But how do you become, because like you're very magnetic, I can tell in your sales and stuff, like people want to work with you. How do you create that? Like, how would you say, is that through branding in itself and just the work you've done through like shadow work and stuff like that?
I would say it's really, really interesting. But if you think about it, instinctually, every single human wants to feel safe, right? Instinctual need. Everyone's looking for safety. Being neutral, you're safe. Therefore, you're magnetic. So for me, I'm really big on being grounded. I'm big on having a regulated nervous system. I'm big on not doing weird and leaky shit on the internet because it's, it's something where it's like, if I'm reactive, if I'm, calling people out and not forward and doing different things, how safe am I for people to actually opt into? Not very safe. And the biggest thing for me is I never want a client coming into any area of my business, whether it be private mentorship, a mastermind, a program, my membership, an event, whatever, moving from a disempowered state. And if I'm speaking to pain points, telling you how shit you are, telling you all the things you're doing wrong, there's going to be a level where you feel a lot of shame around that. And then what do you want to do to create safety for yourself in that? Okay, I'm going to opt into the person shaming me so I get to be soothed in all the shit that I'm experiencing. Pain point marketing works. It works really well. It's not something that I'm going to do in my business.
Yeah, I like that. I'm very much the same. And I'll ask this from my own self because I want to know this because it's something I'm navigating where it's, you sit there and you go, because it is a business, right? We need to know how to actually get people because then a lot of them aren't going to lead themselves directly into the fire that they might call it. But finding that really healthy space of being a kind, caring human, but also being able to help them see that they might actually have some stuff they need to work on. And I guess it's also probably a little bit different with what we do because you're working with people that are, I'm assuming, with our coaches and own businesses and things like that. But you also work on a personal level too, right? So what are some of the things that you speak to help people realize and go, holy shit, okay, it's time to do it?
Yeah. A big thing I feel is a degree of education around these things. And I often pull on my own experience in my marketing. So when I think about even Align Baddie, I have an 8-week mindset course. It's really all about teaching through a shadow work lens, emotional intelligence, ego, concept of self, boundaries, standards.
Epic. Yep.
Good girl archetype. We go through all the things. And that's obviously available and open to everyone. So it's just different rather from speaking to business containers. But in that, it's an awareness piece. And I love leveraging my podcast because we can have these conversations and I know that I'm not disempowering anyone in that just through, pinpointing everything that's wrong with your life in a sales page or something like that. So I think the biggest thing is, that education part, but also just teaching from your experience. So recently I, just in the last couple of months, my friends reflected to me and I jumped on my stories and spoke to this, that they said, you're someone that you can't fuck with and you're also someone that can't be fooled. And that was so interesting for me because I thought, wow, I actually haven't ever been told that. And now in my life, I know that's true. I know you can't fool me. I know I can see through people's things and I know that people feel that they can't fool me. And then I speak to it in the sense of like, wow, this has been reflected to me. This is why, this is how I've created that. And this is where I can help you do the same. So for me, it's really speaking through experience and ultimately humans want connection. We're going into an era and a time, I believe, AI, a lot of generated things, a lot of email marketing, all the different things. If you're not establishing relationships with your clients, I don't think it matters what industry or business you're in, that's going to be your biggest downfall. So more time in DMs, more time connecting, more time actually getting to know the human on the other end, because I'm personally opting into someone who cares and I'm not opting into someone who sends me 25 emails a day.
Bro. Yes, thank you for saying that because it's being in this industry, I totally see from the outside in how people can perceive it as a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've copped your own a lot of shit on your journey up here. How did you deal with some of that? Like some of the things that people were projecting onto you, like, oh, you're just this and this and blah, blah, blah.
Pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, again, I think it comes back to the grounded thing. I'm very self-assured and I just know my intention. I know what I'm doing. I know how I'm helping. I know the transformations I'm, creating for clients and different things. So that's always been an anchor point for me to come back to, just going, you know what, say and do whatever you want to do. But again, when you're emotionally intelligent, you know that projection's got nothing to do with you and more about what they're not allowing themselves to be, do, experience, action, whatever. So quickly, for example, I can earn, a lot of money and post it on the internet, whatever, being in the business realm. And if someone's got something to say about it, okay, cool. What are you not allowing yourself to do?
Yeah.
Okay,
Why don't
cool.
you believe it's possible for yourself to earn
X
50K
amount.
in a month, whatever it is? Yeah.
Why aren't you asking your boss for a pay rise? Right? It's always a mirror. And yeah, there can be an element of truth, of course, but when you know that, and when you know as well, like we've spoken to, that people are seeing the world as they are and not as it is, it's not a me thing. And I
Yeah.
can quickly come back to that.
Is there any ever time where someone said something and you've gone, ooh, actually, you're right?
I remember I got hate on the internet for the first time, and it was when I had my old Instagram. It was a bigger following. I did YouTube, and it was all about that, like pyramid scheme, and you're rorting people and all this stuff. And it made me feel sick to my stomach. I remember just feeling like this full somatic response, like I'm going to die and I'm going to quit my business, and, you know, and it might have only been 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but you have that moment of just questioning everything. And what I know now is I just actually wasn't emotionally intelligent enough to handle that.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. It wasn't like you were having the, ooh, this is me moment. It was like, oh, this just feels yuck of people doing this shit.
I can't access discernment. I don't understand why people behave that way. And when you lack understanding of the world, people, behavior, yourself, of course you're a victim to everything. And I think, you know, again, we've moved on from the conversation around men and women and relationships and all the different things. But to circle back to that, how hard is life when you're in that state? And how hard is life when you're a victim to everything? Because everyone's against you and everything's so hard and everything's a direct reflection of you. It's actually not. And I think we live our lives very, very self-absorbed, thinking that everything is about us. It's actually not.
Agreed.
It's actually not.
Why do you think people choose to stay in the victim place? Do you think it's easier for them to be there?
Huge secondary gain, right? It's like your limiting beliefs and your conditioning and all these different things. You know, we want to change it and we complain about it, but also how convenient is it to be the victim? How convenient is it, you know, for you to continually play into, well, I just don't feel good enough, or I just can't this because of my parent this, I just can't that because of this. That can all be completely true, but at the end of the day, as an adult, you're actually choosing.
Yeah.
And you always have the power of choice. And humans outsource that massively by being like, well, this is just what's happened to me. Okay, cool. You think of some of the biggest leaders in the world and some of the most influential people. Do you not think they've been through shit? Do you not think they've had a hard life? Because they had, and then they chose different. So you're either going to be a victim until you're 80, or you're going to wake up one day and go, you know what? I'm going to rewrite the narrative because this is bullshit.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. And it's like people hear that and they go, it's not that easy. Well, it literally is that easy.
You know what's fucking hard is staying the way you are. And it's that short-term comfort, you know, over long-term comfort. For me, I'm always seeking path of least resistance. I ride that home all the time because it's like, how can my life be easier? You know, navigating, splitting from my partner and what happened there. If anyone actually knew what had been happening behind the scenes, they would be shocked. But I can handle it because I've worked on myself. So for me, it's like, wow, this all happened and I went, fuck, I'm so glad I'm the person I am. And I'm so glad that I've done the work that I've done, because this would really ruin a lot of people and it's not going to ruin me.
I love that. How old are you?
23.
Holy shit. So what's been the most life-changing work you've done modality-wise, like whether it's shadow work, like the somatic work you're doing? What's something that people could lean into to really help them build a strong foundation now?
For me, I think shadow work is so, so important. And fuck, you can do the love and light. You can do your affirmations. You can manifest.
Gratitude.
Like perfect, great, supportive. Not going to touch the surface in terms of what you need to be looking at. And I think the biggest thing beyond that, and we do it in Aligned Baddie, but it's understanding human psyche. What is my ego? What are my limitations in terms of patterns, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, beliefs? You know, what is my conditioning? How has that contributed to who I am today? Why do people behave the way they do? What is a projection? Why am I getting triggered? Until you have that context, life is really, really hard to navigate. And again, I have compassion for people who don't understand it, because I think, fuck, that would be really hard to navigate life. And things would happen in your day and it would rattle you. And then it affects your family, then it affects your kids, and then it affects everything. So I would say that, yeah, just actually getting to know yourself through a shadow work lens will be the most transformative work that you can ever do.
Do you think people need to have, like, do it? Can you do it by yourself with, like, shadow work journals? Or would you tell them to be like, no, go work with someone so they can see it from the outside in and help support them in that?
I think dependent on where you're at, even financially speaking, where, you know, it's a luxury in a way to be like, oh, I can go and work with someone. And I think that stops a lot of people. Oh, if I can't have the mentor, then I'm not doing it at all. So start with a podcast, start with a book, journal, get the prompts off Pinterest. It can be completely free, you know, a piece of paper, a notepad, whatever. Start there. And then as you start to get more curious around this, it's going to naturally evolve. And to be honest, I think it's a little bit of a drug, self-development.
Yeah.
You know, it's addictive. Even when things happen in my life, I'm like, at least I'm going to learn something about myself. Like
just be in it, right?
It's almost exciting where I'm like, okay, that was pretty shit, but what am I going to learn on the other side of that? And, you know, even again, like just recently what's happened in my personal life, that has just been the catalyst for so much growth and me seeing so many moving parts, even in my childhood and just, my whole life I feel like it's just been like laid out in front of me and I'm like, oh, I see it for the first time. And if that had never have happened, how much growth was I actually missing out on?
Yeah.
I would never have seen it.
Just to give anyone context, can you explain maybe a couple of shadows you've had to work through recently? Or ones you're going through right now?
How much time have we got? No. So, a big one, and I kind of spoke to it before, is like that responsibility piece where I have taken in my life so much responsibility from such a young age. You know, 4 onwards, I would say, for the adults in my life, for family, for people in my life, partners, whatever, around really big and heavy things, a lot of responsibility. And I've felt that the outcome of a lot of people's things, without giving context, has been my responsibility. So I have to fix some really big and heavy things. That is a lot for a child. Yeah. You know, that's a lot to carry. That has to play out somewhere, right? So I'm taking so much responsibility somewhere. You know, being irresponsible has to play out somewhere. I can be like a child sometimes, like an absolute, and the only way I can describe it is it's like there's like a little toddler and like a little kid in my brain who's just like, no, I'm not doing it. It's like complete refusal. Yeah. So it might come in the form of making my bed. It might come in the form of going to the shops and buying dinner. It might come in the form of booking an appointment, but with life admin, and that's the only way I can describe it, there's a refusal there from my end where I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. And then, it presents as, oh, you're lazy or you're this or you're a bit of a princess or you're whatever. And it's like, no, it's got nothing to do with that. It's just I'm holding so much from other things in my life and I've taken on so much responsibility that the littlest things are my scapegoat. So I'm really integrating now, not taking so much responsibility and actually starting to take responsibility in the things that I need to take responsibility in. Booking an appointment.
Yeah. That's a great example. That's really cool. And I guess I'll reflect on something for me recently was I realized that I had these coping mechanisms that were playing out in certain situations. And a big one was cereal. As a kid, when shit got tough, I would go for the big box of cereal, big bowl, and just fucking ruin myself with this giant thing of sugar,
Go
right?
to town.
So my inner child was coming out in these situations that were too hard to deal with. So I would go to a self-soothing process. And I feel like so many people probably are listening to this going, oh, wait, I do that too. It could even be for men, like the most common thing is masturbation. Most men will, if something gets hard, something in their life gets hard, it's like a topic or they have to do some hard work. I've done this in the past where I'm like, that's way too hard. Fuck this. I'm going to go find some dopamine.
Yeah. What's your scapegoat?
Literally.
Validation.
And then it can turn into an unhealthy connection to porn where they then are just so addicted to this shit that their partner then loses out because they're like, it's let go of the connection, the realistics of an actual, relationship and proper love, not sex, like all these differences in that. But then it leads even darker to, which I know the most common thing right now with young men is cocaine.
Yeah.
Right? It's like every weekend and they go, oh, it's fine, man. It's just cocaine. Everyone does it. And it's not addictive and it's this and this. I'm like, bro, do you know what that shit does to your body and why you're doing it?
Your brain.
Yeah. Like you're most likely fucking unhappy and the only place in happiness is in a little bag. It's like, I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying, like, you might be trying to like justify it, but
it's truth though, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's really interesting in what you just said there around, like the scapegoat and just looking for temporary relief, because that's another thing that I think so many people aren't aware of. When you're not self-aware, you look for relief everywhere. For girls, it can be in binge eating. It can be, and not just girls, obviously, men and women can experience, things like that as well. But it's like we're always going to look to self-soothe.
Yeah.
TikTok, scrolling, social media. Like there's so many examples of how it can play out. But, shit's getting hard, avoid. Shit's getting hard, distract. Shit's getting hard, dopamine hit, where am I going to find it? And I think even, for men, I think breakups can be such a catalyst for change, but I think there's more undoing before there's becoming.
Oh yeah. That in itself, it's so important to know, because like I went through a breakup before I met my fiance, right? And the process was Trav went back into old things. Started trying to talk to like 20 women at once and like to get my validation.
Yeah.
Because I'd always had girlfriends. So whenever I was single, it was like, shit, I'm
You're
not
wrong.
worthy. I'm a piece of crap. I need to be talking to all these different women to get some sort of validation. I went straight into that same thing like a few months after it. And luckily enough, because of the circle I'd built, my mate was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Stop it. Go. He challenged me and he's like, do the whole like no masturbation, no dates, all the things. And deep down, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But I did it.
It's uncomfortable.
And it brought me so much clarity. Clarity is the biggest thing for most men. And it just allowed me to see what was actually important too within a relationship. So I actually met my now fiance just for a coffee catch up. It wasn't a date. I don't like this whole like, let's go on a date. It's like, no, let's just fucking get a coffee. Let's not label it in any way. Let's have a chat and get to know each other as humans. I am not like, and I literally, from my heart, it was nothing, no other intention but to meet someone, meet some cool people. And I was actually having a lot of coffee dates with men too, like just to see some boys and, as in like make some friendships and just meet some cool people. I think if people had started to take the intentions behind things away from it and just said, hey, I'm just going to go have a coffee with someone, get to know them. I'm having a chat in my DMs right now with a dude that does coaching for coaches, right? And he seems awesome. But the thing I've noticed straight away, the difference is like he's genuinely just, like I know what he's leading to, but I also know he's asking genuine questions and he's brought some shit out of me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is cool. I know what you do. I'm aware what you charge. I know this is leading to a sale down the track. But I just said straight up, hey, bro, I know like you're going to ask me, like, do I want to work with you? I'm like, yeah, I will work with you eventually.
You're like, I'm coming.
Yeah, but let's just have a chat.
Yeah.
Let's also be real, be upfront about the intentions and just be like,
Honesty.
Let's just talk.
Honesty.
It's big. So for anyone listening, after that little ramble, it's like you don't need to, first of all, if you're single right now, find yourself. I'm sure that's what you've been doing hard out right now, right?
Hard out.
Like how long ago was the breakup?
2.5 months, probably.
Oh, right. So it's still pretty fresh.
It's fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's been the one thing that's really helped you in this post-relationship thing?
Just, honestly, like socializing and being around my people, but my people.
Yeah. I've seen you, like you're with this sick group of friends.
Yeah. Constantly. They're on rotation
Yeah.
because I live on my own in a massive house at the moment. And they're on rotation. But, there was one weekend where I had gone out and, I'm not a massive drinker, but I drank a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not fucking doing this. Very quickly where I think it's, again, like I'm very aware and I'm all the things, but it's so interesting how even I felt like, oh, this is the default because this is what you do now that you're single.
Yeah.
This is, I'm going to numb. I'm going to whatever. I'm going to get validation. Men are going to look at me, whatever. And it's like, I don't need that. I don't need that. And what I need are my people. What I need is to focus on what matters. What I need is to address what's coming up for me. And that's been my focus because, again, I asked myself, what's the path of the least resistance? Cool. I can put myself in a hole for 6 months or I can move alongside processing. And I'm so big on moving alongside processing. Like I could talk about it forever because so many people park the process because they've got to keep it moving. But then all of a sudden, 3 years later, it all comes to a head and they're having this meltdown because you've been going so hard for that time and you've never addressed what came up for you. when you know that, hey, you can cry and have this huge process for 3 hours and then you can get on a coaching call and run it. Wow, they actually both get to coexist. And when you know better, you have to do better. That is my rule of thumb for myself. And I think about that. It's ingrained in my brain. Riley, if you know better, you have to do better. So no, you're not going out this weekend and numbing yourself. No, you're not going to start drinking. No, you're not going to take drugs. No, you're not going to sleep with random people every 5 minutes because you know better and you got to do better.
Fuck, let's go. So thank you for saying that, because what I heard in Michael Jordan's documentary, The Last Dance, I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Yeah, no, I have. It's good.
So he said something about how Tim Grover said something, and he was like emotional, and I can already feel the emotion in my body. He said, Mike always said, I have an obligation to be better. I have an obligation to these people that pay thousands of dollars to come see me play. So I'm going to train my ass off. I'm going to do the things I need to do to be better and do better for the people. Because, like, I can already tell you've got a gift. Like, you've been here before. You are not 23 years old. You are like thousands of years old, right? If we talk about the woo-woo stuff. Like, I know I've had past life regressions. I've been an Aztec warrior at some point that protected villages. And in my stories I've told before, I went through a breathwork experience where I actually lived out my entire story that my friend Elise told me, where another tribe crept into my tribe and killed our wives and kids. And I watched that whole play out. And what happened was that I'm talking another language while I'm breathing. And I'm like, yeah, man, some wild shit. And I get it. People listen, they go, what do you mean? I'm like, I know, but it's on camera. I experienced it. It's real for me. And I felt that completely in my body. And it literally was at a heart level where I had shame for letting that happen, because I was the protector of the village. I was this big scary motherfucker that had like a skull helmet on. And this is exactly what the Aztecs used to wear, like they're warriors, right? So I saw all this. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is that I healed that part of me by doing the breath work. And my friend Shan came up into my ear, was because I was saying over and over again, please forgive me, I didn't see them. That's what I just kept saying out loud. And she just came into my ear and was like, we love you, we forgive you, it's okay. So she helped heal this past wound that was playing out in the present, right? So tying this all together as to what we've just spoken into, guys, is like, you don't realize how deep your core wounds can go, how deep your healing needs to be, and how important it is to relate even to business, what we've talked about, how much it's played out clearly for you and you're healing right now, because you know you need to be better. You get to be better because you know better, right? As a businesswoman, as a leader, all the things. So we can step into these old ways of doing things, but because of the healing you've done, you've been able to pull yourself out. Yeah. Which is fucking awesome.
Well, I think the purpose to life is to make progress.
Yeah.
And if you're not making progress, there's a void there, and you're going to fill it in whatever way you're going to fill it. And it's so interesting hearing you speak about that, because recently I went through a process with my somatic coach, and a lot of it was around addressing my relationship and different things. And same thing, I just kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I was thinking, what am I sorry for? You know, nothing was my fault. And I know that consciously.
Yeah.
Unconsciously, there's so much stuff there. And for context, early in our relationship, my ex was diagnosed with cancer. So we had a 4-ish year journey with that. And what I've noticed in my life, because this was sort of the thing for me being like, oh, I can see it, is there's so much helplessness there for me, where I feel like I've actively tried my whole life to be the fixer and to save everyone. Yeah. And I couldn't save him. And I haven't really been able to save anyone, but I've tried.
Yeah.
So a lot of the I'm sorry is just a responsibility I feel for what I think I need to do, or again, like, people need me and I couldn't do it.
Wow. Okay. That is cool. Holy. So how does that play out now for you moving forward in your business? Is it changing? Like, are you moving to a different way of doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can feel that. Because you've had some realizations, hey?
Oh, like life's just been flipped on its head.
Shit. Okay. Can you speak into that? P.S. How are you doing for time? Because I know I want to respect your time.
Nah, I'm good.
You're good?
We're chatting.
Cool.
We're
Sweet.
Good.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's so interesting, I think, because, you know, being in the coaching space, and you would feel this, it's like it's very much is a reflection of your season, and you are your business, you know, in terms of like I am the service and I am the one speaking, I'm the one leading. So what I'm going through is going to an extent be a reflection of where I'm at in business. And I feel like for me now, it's a very selfish season where I no longer have to consider everyone but myself, but also coming back to not taking responsibility for things that aren't mine and actually coming back to my way of doing things. Because I know I'm an incredible coach and I know I'm an incredible mentor, and there's a lot that I've potentially, what I will say, and I'll just say it, is I suppressed a lot of my intelligence for a really long time to make other people feel comfortable. So I would like water things down or dumb things down or pretend I don't know what I know or pretend that I can't see what I can see. And, you know, since, you know, the last couple of months, I'm like, fuck that. Like that's been my dialogue where I'm just like, fuck that. I have so much to say. I have so much I can do. I am very intelligent. I've worked so hard to be in the position I am, and I know how much more value and impact that I can have on people. But for such a long time, I'm like, I'm just keeping it at bay, suppressed completely. And even this conversation today, you know, I've never said any of this on the internet, but nothing comes up for me around it because it's just my truth, and it's this is me being honest.
It's cool. I love it. And I can feel that because... Dude, I can pick up on people's shit straight away.
You can.
But again,
you can't be fooled.
No. But I also, that's only because I know me to the depths. Like I know me so much that I know when someone's not being them, because I have not been me before.
You feel it.
So it's like, I know that you've been real today. I know you've been honest in your answering. I know you've said things, as you just said, that you haven't said before, which is great. I want to be the catalyst for that. But something I noticed even last year, what you just said, I'm actually having to suppress myself in my podcasts again, but I'm choosing to because I want to be the student again.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the dude that's like, I know everything. Fucking, I know what you're saying. Yeah, isn't it? It's like, I want to be the listener that goes, so what do you mean by that, Riley? Because I genuinely care. I do want to, I want anyone listening right now to be like, Trav's on the journey with me. He's not at the level of the guest. He's genuinely just the dumbest person in the room. And I want to be that person.
It's a good way to be.
Yeah, it's way better. But I know what you're saying, where you feel like you can't be you because when you are you're either met with resistance or people like their eyes fucking glaze over and go, what?
Yeah. Yeah, even just down to language. Like, I don't get what you're saying. Okay, what word could I use and say it? When that's just actually how I speak. It's not, you know, I'm not putting on a front.
No.
Listen to me around any of my friends. This is how I talk. So yeah, it definitely is that. And I think you made a good point before, just quickly on proximity, because something about that too, you know, in terms of being able to change and different things like that, who you're around, and just, you know, you saying that your friend was someone who was like, hey, like actually stop doing this and start doing this because I know that there's more for you and you can be better.
Well, he's a multi-millionaire too, so it's like...
Hello, who are you listening to?
Yeah,
exactly. But I feel like that's probably what lacks for so many people, because so much is normalized that is so fucking limiting.
Oh, yeah.
You just go out on weekends. You just do this at 20-something. You just behave that way. Oh, that's just a norm. That's just a this. Who are you listening to?
Yeah.
You know, and I say that for anyone at any age. Who are you listening to? Oh, you know, moving overseas is a bad decision. Doing this is a bad decision. The business isn't going to work. There's so many ways that can play out. Yeah, from people. But if you think about it,
know how the online space works?
Yeah, I know, totally. But you think about it in any context in your life.
I get it too. Yeah,
and it's just cool for you to even have had that experience, because I've had that as well in so many ways. And my God, who you're around matters.
Yeah, and it's sad because it's progressed and transformed in my journey. Like I started doing this shit like 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed in the beginning people were questioning me, telling me, Trav, you're fucking weird. What are you doing? Why are you posting that video? And then when I started the podcast, my God, I copped some shit. It was like,
yeah, I can imagine.
Bro, what are you doing? Like, what's that thing? Do you get paid for that? It's like,
yeah, do you get paid for that?
I don't care if I get paid, bro. I love this shit.
Yeah.
And it has that thing that I picked. You hear it all the time. Pick something you love and you're passionate about, the money will come. 3 years later, the money's come. It's here. Again, not what I was in this for, but I started with the passion and the love. It's never left. It's never changed. But I'm now getting the energy return that I deserve because of that. So for anyone that's on the edge of like, because I know I've got multiple friends, clients, all the things that are either in jobs that they fucking hate and they want to get into this space. And I know they'd be great at it. It's not like you can't just step into this space and just be a coach. I don't think that should be the case because it's a bit scary that it is an unregulated industry sometimes. Because it's just like anything though. It's like there's shit doctors, there's shit retail workers. You know, like there's every bit of landscape. There's going to be someone that's shit. But we cop a lot of crap in the coaching business because I feel like as leaders and in this space where you're seeing so much, there are so many projections to be had. But we just want anyone listening to know that we were you at some point too. We still are you. Like I've got mates that I still talk to that just like to work a normal job, 9 to 5, drink piss on the weekend, have a family, beautiful family. I still hang out with them.
Yeah.
But they're still loving me too. But I've had other mates that don't want to be around me because I bring out all their insecurities. Right? I'll bet you've had that too, where it's like you go after everything you want and that makes Sally feel like shit.
Yeah.
So she hates you for that. Did you struggle to deal with that in the beginning?
Yeah. And you just want to shake people because it's like, it's just a permission. That's all it is. I just woke up and thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And then I think what can happen is people potentially feel left behind because of the progress that you've made.
Yes.
You know, anyone close to you. And it's like you haven't. Think about where you could be in 5 years if you started now. Stop waiting. I think if there's any advice you would give anyone and anyone on the other end of this, it's like just go. Just go. Just do it. Whatever it is, stop saying next week. Stop saying tomorrow. Stop saying anything. Just go and do it. Because far out, the opportunities that come into your life is so insane. Is so insane. I always, I don't know, I feel like you would share a similar belief, but I always just feel like everything in life is as it should be for as long as you're following your intuition. And the minute you ignore that, the minute you don't honor what you actually want, you're taken down a path that you shouldn't be on. And that's when you experience a lot of emotional turmoil, a lot of distress, a lot of hardship, a lot of challenge, because it's like that's not where you're supposed to be. And a part of you knows that because you didn't honor this thing 4 years ago. It's like how many people, you know, have an idea that they had in 2020 that they're still sitting on?
Too many.
It's been 4 years. Like imagine what could have been if you had done the thing then. So don't let this feeling, this emotion, this want, this desire now sit for another 4. It's like your whole world can be different and we're evidence of that. And you just want to shake people because you're like, it's so possible for you.
It's
like
right
it is
here.
So possible for you.
It's right here. It's right there. We've got our hands out to go, yo, I've been where you are. I'm now here and continue to still go. Let me just get you through that first bit. And this is the big question I wanted to ask today because I know people struggle with this so much. How do they overcome the money beliefs? How did you overcome your own?
Fuck. Ingrained, right? Like the conditioning around money is so ingrained and everyone's going to have their own sort of iteration of what this looks like as well. For me, it was really hoarding money and a lot of my value or a lot of I thought I would receive a lot of love and acceptance, which there is truth to this, if I was to buy a house. Right? It was like, that was the path. So for me, I, you know, got out of high school, started my business, saved a lot of money very, very quickly, but I hoarded every single cent that I earned. And if I had to go and buy, you know, a bag of apples on the way home, I'm like, what do you mean I have to buy them? I can't spend $12 on the, you know, what, because that felt so, contracting for me. And I had so much anxiety around money as well and around spending. The way that I integrated that was by spending money. And it sounds silly, but that was when I made the decision to hire the mentor. And I'm like, but I'm saving for a house and I've got the deposit. What was required of me at that stage was, one, I knew I was my greatest investment. I had to invest in myself to grow, to learn, to evolve, to then make that money tenfold. So yeah, I could continue on the path that I was, not learn, not grow, not evolve, whatever it is. But it's like, wow, I would never have come into more money and then generated more income and built wealth and all the things if I hadn't have actually worked through that block I had around hoarding money and feeling genuinely unsafe in my body if I was to spend.
Yeah.
Because it's a somatic thing for a lot of people.
It is. Well, because money's energy, right? The word money's just been placed on it.
Yeah.
It's literally just this thing that we pass through our entire universe through us. And it's like people think it's this physical form of thing that we need to take and give and all the things, right? But for me, and I had to learn this shit, but I've been broke my entire life up until literally like last year. I had to overcome the shadows that, one of the shadows was the aspect that with more money came less time.
Yeah.
So it was literally a negative effect of, I can't make more money because that means I lose time.
And I value time.
Right. And that was my top value. It was like time with my partner and myself, because I'm a massive like introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to do this shit and go out to big parties and host events with 100 people. I've done that. But I love trav time. Yeah. Because I'm safe in trav. I'm so safe. I could spend, that's the danger though. I could spend fucking 3 weeks by myself and be like, this is cool. This is awesome.
I'm chilling.
Yeah, I'm sweet. So, but to overcome that, as you said, I had the same thing. It was like when I dropped that first like 10K on a mentor, Jesus Christ. It was like, whoa. But also something in it was so freeing because literally 2 months later, I make, 3-4 times that in sales. And I go, how's this even possible? But it is because I just did it.
You're moving money.
Yeah.
You got to move money to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's such an important thing. So for anyone listening, it's like, it's easy to say that this is it. We're two people that have overcome exactly what you may be going through. And probably still, I don't know about you, do you still have some things pop up around money even though you're making...
Yeah, definitely. I would even say like greed has been a massive thing for me where I've gone through seasons of... Like an example of this is when COVID had happened and as a sole trader at the time, you could get really big payouts from the government. I think it was a lot, like 20K payout or something like that. For me at the time, I'm 18, 19, I'm like, lotto, like I'm on, but I remember saying to my accountant, like, oh, don't worry about that. I don't need it because I'm with my parents at home still. Like, I just don't need it. So don't worry about it. And she was like, you're entitled to it. Like, you get to have it. Everyone's getting it. Yeah, but I was like, no, but someone else might need it. So it's fine. And it was always a greed thing for me where, I've had a lot of success in business and I've done really high cash months and all this different stuff. And I always thought people are going to think I'm greedy. And, it's even the association. And a really good example is when a guy in a Porsche cuts you off, he's a rich wanker. He's a dickhead. Oh, he's this, he's that, because he's driving a Porsche. You don't say it if it's someone in a Honda. So even these little like subliminal messages your whole life, you create a construct of what it means to have money. You create an image of what it means to be rich. And based on that, you decide that it's either a good, bad or negative thing. And whatever your perception is what you'll then project on money in general. So it's, there's so much stuff. And obviously parents are huge contributors to that as well.
Oh, programming, right?
Oh, like 100K a year. I remember I profit planned and I did the math on what my year would be. And I thought, I'm going to earn 100K. That is insane. That's all I need. That's all I need. Because that's an incredible income. I know dad's similar, mum's similar, whatever. Perfect. That's what I need to have this life that I've grown up with.
Yep.
So I was already putting a glass ceiling on what could be because I looked at the life I'd had. That's my comfort. That's my safety. I'm a good person if I have this life. Perfect. 100K is the milestone. And then you do 500K. And then you do 750K. Fuck, what does that mean about me? What does my life look like there? And then there's shit to work through at that level because I've never held that much money before. What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, what do you do with it?
What does life look like at this stage? I don't know.
Holy crap. So what do you even do with that new responsibility and that level? Like, do you feel like you want to keep going even further and further and further and be like the 100 millionaire and all that sort of thing? Yeah.
It's funny because I'm by nature a very down to earth person, and it's funny because I love my nice things and I love my environment. I have nice things. But if I was just camping on a beach for a week with no shower, I'm happy as. That's all I want. Really all I want. Like flying first class, all of that doesn't really feel like a driver for me because it's not really what I want for myself. I just want a home and a family and to be happy.
Cool
and
friends.
To have freedom.
Yeah.
And it's funny that your belief was the opposite of this, but my belief is always more money, more time. So for me, I'm like, fuck, the more money I have, the more space I have, the more time I have. And that's my driver for what I do. I love the work that I do. I love helping. I love impacting. I love having different experiences, but I want to earn money so I have that level of freedom. I'm moving to Bali in about 30 something days. And that to me is like, oh, I've done it.
Yeah.
Like no matter what money I'm earning, if I have the capacity to pick up my life and go wherever I want, whenever I want, and still do what I do, that's my version of success.
And it's so possible for anyone these days.
Anyone.
I'm seeing kids like 18 years old starting e-commerce websites and making like $300,000 a month.
Crypto, drop shipping, like there's so much.
Yeah, I agree. So now this has already been an incredible chat, but I want to get something I always do is topics with the tech. So it's like quick fire questions to give the listener just bulk value on topics that you're an expert in. Right. So it might be like 15, 20 minutes of this, and then I'll let you go about your day because this has been incredible. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, for anyone getting into business, what are the first few things they should do let's focus on online brands and coaching it.
Yeah.
This is what we do. We want to help more people. Anyone that wants to do the same, what would you say to them in that first like few steps?
Yeah. So if you're doing, the personal brand thing online, which a lot of us are when we're moving online, you want to build a relationship with your audience and you want to increase visibility. So I would say the biggest thing initially is always going to be just being so consistent with your content that it's not even funny, getting really clear as well on like what is your brand. If you think about the Technician Pod or Trav, you think of certain things. You would think of the hat you're wearing, you would think of the shirt you're wearing, the shoes, like there's things that you associate with that brand and that's what you expect to see, and you really want to strengthen that by people, one, being able to trust that every day they're going to come back to your Instagram stories, your TikTok, your whatever, and see that.
Yeah,
because
it's
it creates
consistent,
safety.
right?
Yeah, and people can trust consistency, whether they know it or not. That's happening on a subconscious level.
I like that. That's cool. And it's very much sharing my experience in that. Soph was actually the one that helped me really nail down who I am and what I do, being who she is and a master of brand and marketing. But she was kind of like, she just said straight up, she was like, Trav, what the fuck do you even do? Who do you help? Who is it you're actually talking to? Yeah. And I sat there and I was like, I don't know. And then now it's built, thanks to Kiani, my mentor, she's been incredible. And we've come up with unplug, rewire, unleash. Yeah. They're the 3 words that I do. The rewiring aspect of our unconscious mind in the shadows to allow people to go do the things they want in life, career, and love. Perfect, right? So the outcome of that is you get to live a life without, like us. Yeah. You're not held back by the shit. So that's perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So if they want to, first, you do the first launch, do you believe that one-on-one should be the first place that they start to get used to that? Or could you go straight into one-to-many stuff?
You could definitely do one-to-many. I don't think it necessarily needs to look a certain way, but there needs to be that period where you are focused on establishing relationship, building community, and building trust. Because nothing that you launch is going to be successful if you haven't got a strong community that are genuinely, they're genuinely connected to you, but you need to nail the pillars of conversion being like, know, and trust. If they don't know you, they can't like you. If they don't like you, they don't trust you. So that's a really big thing to nail as well. And you can kind of, without even learning that, you can already see like, what would I need to do to build trust? What would I need to do to be liked? And what would I need to do to, have my audience actually come to know who I am as well? So that's a really big thing to focus on. One-to-ones, if you're in the coaching space, is an incredible way to start to, just build momentum, get coaching hours up, get experience, understand what your ideal client is actually struggling with as well. You may have an idea and you're probably marketing to that in, your messaging, but until you work with people, you see patterns and you see things, and then it's like, I could create a course on shadow work because I'm actually noticing with my 10 one-to-one clients over the last couple of months, that's been a common theme. And then you're packaging up that offer. Yeah. Just
about what I'm about to do. And that was the next question was like, people obviously sometimes go, I need like 7 different offers and this, and this. Like, should you say to most people, it's like have like 1, 2 or 3 things where you just go, this is my main thing, this is the cheaper option, and this is like my long-time membership. Is that kind of how you would say to do it?
Definitely. And I think the biggest thing is not feeling like you do need to do the 7-tier offer suite thing because you want, again, people have decision fatigue. And also the minute someone's confused, they're opting out. Yeah. And you want to minimize the confusion that a potential client will experience going, okay, how do I work with Trav? Oh, well, there's this. It's overwhelm, right? And then people opt out. So having something from a tiered perspective of different price points as well and different access points is a big one. You might have a $97 masterclass, and then that moves into an $800, passive program. And then you've got your one-to-one coaching above, or group mentorship that's closer proximity. That could be an example of what that looks like. And the aim in that too is to have the $97 masterclass, for example, and the program be uncapped in terms of how many people can come in.
It's also an evergreen product.
Totally. Have it on autopilot. And then that bigger one, it's probably capped. 8 people, 10 people, 12 people, but there's that tiered approach to your offer suite, and there's a client journey. You start with the $97, you go into the program, you progress to the mentorship, or backwards.
It's wild because I know this, but I still haven't had the time. No excuses. I haven't made a priority to do those things. Like just straight up business, because I feel like I'm so different to people too though. Like I'm getting clients from word of mouth already. Yeah. It's people that are working with me and going, dude, you need to go
which is amazing.
Technician, which is cool. Like everyone wants that, right? But for me, and this is the conversation I had with that epic dude this morning, Tommy. Yeah. He was like, bro, what do you actually want to do? Are you wanting to go to one to many because you feel like that's the only way you can scale? Or is that what you actually want to do? And even just asking that question, I was like, fuck, you're right. I'm doing one to many with the podcast. I'm impacting more people. That's what I want to do. I'm doing retreats. I'm doing workshops. I fucking love one-on-ones. Yeah. Because my power is in person. Yeah. My power is one-to-one, or even on Zooms. It's still the same. Like, I love working with someone. It's only 8 weeks at the moment, and we're getting like crazy results. But I'd love to do like 6 months with someone and see them float out of the fucking room. Yeah. Because their life's changed. Because we spent 6 months intensively together.
We can do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the idea of like pick what also, I guess, my learning this morning is like, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing as well, but discern, like you said, what works best for you. Yeah. But there are these common practices as well. Yeah. Which is great. What's some of the best tips you've learned that's helped your business the most so far?
Oh gosh, there's so many things. I think even just that like no trust, pillars of conversion, it's just a big one because you're always coming back to that when you think about your content and your marketing and messaging. Another thing is having a really good back end. And it's a boring conversation. It's such a boring conversation. Yeah. And a lot of us, it's not our zone of genius. Like we're coaches. We want to be doing these ones and stay in our zone of genius, our expertise. I'm lucky enough now to have a business manager who's incredible, and I don't touch my back end because I don't know how to touch my back end and it's just not my thing. But we even speak about it often. And for us now, I'm moving into a season of really wanting to increase visibility, get more people in our freebies that then sell into, our paid offers and things like that. We always say if a reel went viral, if a TikTok went viral and 1,000 people opt into this program, do we have the back end to support that? Do we have the systems to support that? So a lot of the time, the glass ceiling isn't, in what you can teach or what you can do. It's in, can your back end even support it? And that's just a very logical way of looking at it, but it's true. It's
so true. And I wonder if you're the same as me where I'm very neurospicy. Like I'm definitely ADHD, probably a little bit
something going on.
Yeah, so it's for me, I'm shiny object syndrome hard out. Like it's like, guys, I come up with this sick idea where you can have your community with these cards you can collect that are like Pokemon cards, and they're called Gorillas, and they're different gorillas, and it was sick. Like there's rewards to them, but Kiani's like, dude, have you made that masterclass you were talking about 6 months ago? No.
No, but I've got my Pokemon cards.
Yeah, bro. Pokemon cards are sick. So
I get it.
Coming back to knowing that, as you said, people have their areas of genius. My fiance, she's got the good kind of autism. She's focused as OCD, productive. She's an incredible music teacher. She's been in it for like 12 years. She knows systems and structures. Yeah. She's planned her whole fucking year out. I got a message the other day, an invite for September. Like, babe, what's this? She's like, oh, we're doing stuff. Yeah.
I love
it's
that.
It's like, okay, cool. So it's also, for any men listening to this, it's like, oh, you should be able to do it all by yourself. I'm like, mate, I'm just not good at some shit, and that's fine. I focus on my strengths. If I've got someone willing to help me, I'm going to say yes.
Oh, I coined myself the queen of outsourcing.
Yeah,
if I
sick.
can give it to someone else is going to be doing it for me, because I think that's the most productive way to be. And obviously it's, working within your means at that time. But the minute I knew I wanted to do some stuff in the back end website, onboarding, all this different stuff, I just hired a VA because one, I'm wasting my time. Two, it's going to take me 10 hours or her 1 hour, and my time is best spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
Growing my business.
And that was, I guess we've probably almost answered that part of how to scale, but it is, I'm guessing, probably bringing more people in.
Yeah, it's a huge part. And I think, you hit, there's only so many hours in a week. Before I had that 120K launch and actually scaled my business through one-to-many, I was doing 40 client calls a week.
Holy shit. One-on-ones.
Yeah, for a year probably.
Here I am stressed out at 9.
No, but that's still a lot, right? And even now I would do 3 calls max a week, group included.
Yeah.
Max. One including a meeting with my BM.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this week is busy. Like
I'm stressed out, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a big week this week. And a podcast interview. Like, so my schedule has changed like so much over the years. But how could I have grown my business? I was working with 40 people a week.
It's
one-to-one.
It's so funny because that's what I'm in right now. Like I spent 4 weeks off over the holidays, invested more into my business, got a new laptop, all the things, right?
Yeah.
Because I've learned now, I sat there and I said, fuck, you're a piece of shit. Why did you just spend all that money you just made? But then I go, wait, I haven't spent it. I've invested it.
Yeah.
I got a course. I did this. And I spent some beautiful time with my partner and myself that I've never been able to do. Dude, for 34 years, I've never been able to buy people shit for Christmas because I've always been broke.
Yeah.
This is the first year of my entire life I could actually get her what she wanted. You know how nice that feels? Or taking her to breakfast and not stressing about it.
Yeah.
Like that little shit. I kid you not, Riley. I said 2 years ago, in a Bob Proctor self-development diary, he talks about, calling in what you want, becoming what you want, getting on the frequency, the vibration.
Yeah.
And I was like, write out in here what you can see and believe, and just write it in that one line. And I just wrote, it was like, I want to do what I want when I want with whoever I want, but I also want to be able to just buy people some breakfast. And the first time I was able to do that, fuck, why am I getting emotional? It meant a lot. It was everything. Because that's, like we said before, it's the simple shit. I genuinely mean that. People think that we say these things because it's like, we don't want to sound like we're all about the money and things. It's like, I couldn't give a fuck about money. I love money and I love what it does. But these little simple things, or buying someone their food at Woolies or something, I've done that a couple of times. It's been really cool. And again, you tell people you did that and they go, oh, why do you have to tell them? Like,
Yeah.
well, maybe to give you an idea to do more shit for more people too, if you can. So, yeah. So thank you for sharing that, because
That's cool.
it's all part of the journey, right? It's all part of the growth. And we want people to know that this is what's going to come with it. These little moments, these little like things where you go, holy shit, I've got 9 clients at the moment that I get to help change their life. I'm definitely not whinging about it, but I'm also going, I don't want to burn myself out. Like there's a certain capacity, and the shit I do is deep.
Well, this is why we charge what we charge, because it's emotionally taxing. It is emotionally taxing. And I don't think a lot of people can understand just how much like toll that can take, and who you have to be able to hold people in that. And who you have to become, and that dedication, the self-care, it's heavy. And it makes me emotional even thinking about it, because it's just so, you care so deeply.
Yeah.
You care so much.
But then to have that question hurts, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not about the money. The money's a byproduct of the work that we're doing. And this is where I just don't really care what anyone says about it, because I'm like, you know what? If you knew, if you fucking knew.
Well, let's give him some insight. I'm going to share something. Picture it this, as you just said. Picture this. I worked with a guy for 12 weeks. And here, I've talked to him about this to share this. I'm not going to name names or anything for privacy, but he's in the mines. He's in his 40s. He's just broken up with his wife. You can imagine how distraught he is. I was holding this man for 3 weeks in the beginning on calls at 9 o'clock at night of him wanting to kill himself. Operating the machine. working in the mines by himself, and he's just been left alone. I'm holding that while also going through my own shit and also holding 10 other people at the time and my mates and my partner and my fucking dog. Like, I held that for 10, 12 weeks, and this man is now happier, healthier than ever before. He went from wanting to commit suicide driving his fucking digger to now quitting the mines and running his own business, successful business, and he's seeing his kids more because he's an epic dad again. He's found someone. I'm pretty sure that's worth what I charge, which is still, I know it's not enough. People give me shit about it all the time.
Yeah.
It's $6,000 for 8 weeks. And people go, whoa. I'm like, bro.
You have no
If you knew,
idea.
that's a full-time gig. I'm charging $750 a week to be on call 24/7. Because I allow that. I go, hey, I'm open Monday to Friday. Weekends if it's an emergency. Monday to Friday, I got you.
Yeah.
Whatever's happening. And I'm dealing with shit where it's like, hey, Trav, my sister just tried to kill herself. What do I do? And I can hold that. But I know that it's in the past, it's taxed me.
Yeah.
I got really sick. I nearly died a year and a half ago from appendicitis because of the anger I held. I know it was from the anger.
That's a conversation.
Have you had something similar where you got really sick?
Not necessarily myself, but just seeing that in people.
Yeah,
and
yeah. How the
my
emotion
God,
causes
body
the
keeps
disease.
and you know when shit's up.
Oh, dude, this is when I'm moving into Christelle's house, and it was 4 days of moving my home and working and things to get it all in there. And I was like, oh, my tummy hurts. She's like, babe, go to the hospital. Like, no, I probably have to do a big poo or something. It's fine. 4th day in, I'm like, I'm literally carrying all my shit by myself, just like keeled over. And she's like, babe, go to the hospital. I'm like, yeah, it's probably time. I go there and they're like, well, lucky you came because it was like nearly burst and killed you. But it did actually, when they worked on it, some of it, the toxicity leaked out into my stomach. And then that made me really sick and nearly killed me in the hospital. So it's like, you go through your own shit and you sit there in hospital, and I'm still messaging clients. I'm there fucking dying, grey. And Christelle took the piss out of me the other day. She's like, it's so funny, babe. You posted a picture saying you feel amazing and you look like shit. It's on my Instagram. It's this photo of my, yeah, guys, I'm fine.
Like killing it.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny? And again, that's just where, yeah, you know, I'm at a stage now, and I've been there for a while. Like, I just don't need people to get it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same, but it's like, I just don't need you to get it, because you will have your process. You will be in my world one day. You will come around and then you'll see it.
Couldn't agree more, because recently I have discovered my inner cunt. Bro,
I want to know about this.
I legit have been triggering the fuck out of people lately, because now I've embraced that I actually am a bit of a see you next Tuesday internally, and I've just embraced it. Like, people need to realize it's like everyone has it in them, but they try to cover it up because they're trying to be deemed as like the nice guy or whatever.
We're suppressing it because you don't want to be the bitch. You don't want to be,
and yet you're holding people back from growth. But this is because I've got men around me and women that will call me on my shit, who are very successful, who have done the work and are doing the things, right? Shout out to Potsy, Jordan Potts, one of my best mates, and we're running and Ty Nicholson. We caught up yesterday at Small Change, just up here.
Yeah.
My mate Benny owns it, and we're doing this huge work 8-week program with a retreat in Bali in September called the Legacy Quest.
So good.
So it's for 15 like entrepreneurial men that want to leave an impact on the world. It's going to be insane. But like, I'm talking and Potsy's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Stop that shit. And I'm just so open to hearing that, right?
Yeah.
Because I also am open to telling that to him. So even just in yesterday, I think I triggered like 4 friends in the space of 12 hours because I said something to them and called them on their shit because I'd just been called on my shit. So I was like, okay, I felt good when he did that. I'm going to do it to them so that they know I love them and I care for them. But a few of them were very like, hey, I don't like what you said there, rah, rah. I was like, bro, you just got open wounds. You need to work on your shit, clearly. So share with me something that you've realized recently then.
No, it's just so interesting because it is that. It's like next level self-honesty, but also honesty with other people, where at some point at some point you just have to say what you see.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do the nice thing, and it's so easy to bypass and just let people kind of play their shit out. Again, know better, do better. It's like if you value that person, that relationship yourself, you will let yourself be the bad guy for a second because you value that other person enough. If you're trying to preserve a concept of self in that, not presenting a certain way, not being angry, not being whatever, not speaking to what you're seeing, it's like, how much do you really value that person? How much do you really care for that person? Because if you did, you'd put your ego aside and tell them.
Yeah. Would you then, this is the question off the back of that, the reactiveness, if they're not open to hearing that, how long do you stay around with a person like that?
Not long. And I've stayed around too long in things before.
Yeah.
But it's like if someone's going to be reactive because of something that's true, and this is a thing, it's just true.
Yeah.
It's not, I feel that you did this. It's, I'm going to call out your behavior. And then when someone starts to get defensive again, the ego will never defend what it's not. Ever.
The ego will never defend what it's not. I love that.
There's something to that. And again, this is literally just the season I'm moving into. I'm like, I'm not holding hands anymore and I'm not babysitting anymore. And if you can't come with me, then get out of my way.
And not many people can hold that frame.
No.
They'd look at you and go, oh, well, fuck you then, Riley. It's like, cool.
Okay, we'll see you.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because and people will go, oh, well, what, are you just going to leave people in your dust? Because I've had that said to me before. It's like, and they're like real subliminal shit. It's like, be careful who you step on your way to the top or something. I was like, what the hell?
What are you talking about?
What do you mean, man? Like, I'm literally building a life so I can help people and build a beautiful life for my family.
Yeah.
Eventually. And I'd love to pay for my parents' debt, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
But again, success and money is perceived as evil. So then it's the projections come out and all the shit. But you're right. I'm at a point now where I just don't give a fuck.
Well, that's it. It's that where I've even just gotten to that place of being like, fuck. I'm so done trying to bring people with me, and I'm so done like begging people to change or whatever it may be. I'm out.
If you're coming. If not,
literally,
later, bolt.
There was a quote that I had so long ago on a vision board. It would have been like 2019 or something. And it was something along the lines of, you're either on my side or by my side or in my way. Choose wisely. Something like that.
Oh, shit. And you're at 17, like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Did that ever reply? Not necessarily. But now. I think back to that and I'm like, you're on my side or in my way. And if you're in my way, I just feel like I've my tolerance for that now. And again, it came from a very wounded place of, oh, come with me because I feel responsible for that. Working through that shadow and that wound.
I love that.
I'm at a loss now where I'm like, okay, well, I don't take responsibility. So.
I want to share something with you that's just popped up. So I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
Robert Greene, have you heard of him before? Wrote all the power books. So he's like a master of like manipulation and seduction in picking that up in like narcissistic behavior and things like that.
Yeah.
And he said, be on the lookout for enviers. You will know them straight away from their actions, not their words. So whenever you try to celebrate something, watch their face in the first 0.5 seconds and see how they respond. Mm-hmm. If they go to like and then the smile, that's where you're like, oh, you don't actually want to celebrate me in this moment right now. Something in you is irked a little bit. And he does say also, sometimes it's just like human behavior, but if they can't help but stay in that state.
You see it in people's eyes.
Fucking oath. This is what I've said before. I said to Christella, I was like, babe, it was so weird. And this is when I first started this stuff, or really started to find some success, deemed success. I said it was weird the other day. I was telling such and such about, how well the business is doing. And I don't normally do this because I don't normally get great reactions from people. And I watched his eyes glaze over. He didn't even say anything. It was so awkward. I was like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah,
I just told you that I've just listened to you for an hour say how well you've done. I've asked you how life is and everything, and yet I just shared something, and you can't even be like, Fuck yeah, dude. Nice work. Have you had that? Like,
yeah, just people's inability to hold you in success.
yeah.
It's hard and it hurts because you'll hold them in everything and you'll be there for everything. And I think that's a really big indication in any relationship as well, whether it be intimate with family, friends, whatever. When you feel like the connection is one-sided in terms of like, wow, we've got a really good friendship when we're talking about them. Wow, we have a really good friendship when I'm helping you. How often do they check in on me? How often are they asking, oh, how are you? How's business? How's life? It's a funny thing to think about, but it's like sometimes what people don't say speaks volumes to who they are. It's less in what they say and more in what they're not saying.
Yeah, definitely. And their actions, because
actions are huge.
Anyone can like put together a really well said sentence to depict on who they actually are.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, your actions tell me a completely different thing.
Well, your words manipulate, your actions don't.
Yeah, true.
You know, it's like,
that's cool.
You can, you know, we could sit here and say anything about ourselves and then we're the nice person and we're the this and then we're like, you know, because it's just based on what we say. But again, if you're watching, you know, the video of it, you're looking at body language. So if we're saying stuff but I'm closed off and my arms are folded or I'm looking away or I'm not making eye contact, well, that speaks volumes to who I am.
Oh, the eye contact has been sick during this. Like, thank you for holding that. So I know you're very held within yourself, which is great.
It's so interesting that you say that because I was about to say just before, I'm really big on eye contact and it's something that's almost gotten me not in trouble before, but I think a lot of people can't
hold it.
Isn't it funny? I go to look away now that I'm talking about it. I'm like, no one can hold it. But people can't hold it or not hold it, but it's something that they don't experience often.
Yeah. So, or they take it as like flirting or something. It's like, bro,
fully.
I'm just looking at you.
We're just talking. We're in a conversation. And I get that though, you know, because how many people are actually present with each other? How many people don't have their phone like this when they're trying to chat and it's like, oh yeah, like looking around.
Yeah.
And I feel like that alone is one of the most important things that you can strengthen. And again, it speaks volumes to the level of internal work you're focused on. I've got a post on it coming out actually.
Oh, sick. Perfect. Yeah. This Topics with the Tech has been amazing. So we will finish on your best tools, tips and tactics that have helped you get to where you are today. So books, and if there's any books, mentors. And when I say mentors, one of my mentors in the beginning was just someone I watched on YouTube. Yeah. Tom Bilyeu with Impact Theory. Incredible podcast. That was a mentor for me. So anything like that that's helped you over the last 4 years or so.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson and Tony Robbins, to be honest, have been huge for me in ways. I love the way their brains work. I love their philosophies. I love their perspective on the world. And I think they are so insightful in so many ways. And I think initially it can probably be a little bit challenging to understand. You know, you kind of, especially Jordan Peterson, you know, you hear his concepts and topic and you're kind of like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But there's things that and I wouldn't say everything, but there's been some really big things that I've heard from him over the years that have been huge. Brene Brown, another one. Ooh. I really admire her in a lot of ways. Podcast, nothing really comes to mind, but I think if I was to say like a tool in general, just strengthen your emotional intelligence, you know, through a shadow work lens like that will just be the catalyst for every single thing in your life being better, down to your relationship, your career, the trajectory of your life, your health, your fitness, your emotional state, everything. Life is easier when you know yourself. Agreed. And how's the outlook for you coming up for the next 12 months? Well, yeah, my God, I don't know. I'm moving to Bali, so that's happening. And yeah, I'm just focused on business right now. We just ran our first in-person event for the podcast. I saw that. It looks sick. Congrats. Thank you. That was cool. Yeah, it was amazing. It was so cool. So I'm looking to really build on that, have a heap of different in-person experiences and just strengthen community in that way. Very much in my own lane right now, business-wise, fleshing out a heap in the back end, and just living my best life. Honestly, I just want the freedom and I want to help women do the same and keep teaching my things and build the podcast and just focus on myself. Do you think one thing I would
put this to you as an idea. Do you think you'll do some sort of like integrated business retreat over in Bali with like shadow workers and breath work and all the things over there?
Definitely. Yeah, it's in the works.
Cool. Okay, amazing.
It's in the works.
Because I'm already picturing it. Like it's because I'm starting to now really see that connecting with and collaborating with people like yourself, with like Jackson Johnson, Booty by Jax, epic dude. Did a podcast with him and Jax the other week, and we're going to do a collaboration in the next few weeks because I'm finding that one thing that's really important, and we've touched on it a few times today, I work with female clients because what's happening and what I'm seeing is that they're getting a physical representation of what's possible in a man. So if they don't have a standpoint of what I could have in my life for that woman, because they've dealt with little boys and people that can't hold them, all the things, it's like if I can be that representation for them, they then know how it feels, looks and sounds, so they can look for that out into the world. So it's like literally female clients are coming to me to get an idea of what a masculine and feminine integrated man might look and sound and feel like.
Yeah.
Work through their shadow shit. I can lead them, hold them accountable, all the things. So they get an experience of it and like, fuck, that's what I want. This is what I'm going to call in.
Yeah.
Right? And I know I can hold that and I can say that so confidently and not even care if I sound like a bit of a dickhead saying that, but
You just get to.
it just is what it is. It's why I lead hundreds of men with our Heart-Led Warriors retreats and stuff, right?
Yeah, such cool work.
It's just what we do. And one little question I'd like to ask you before we finish. I love like people like that are very direct, aren't fluffy.
Yeah.
And someone I know, you know, and that Soph knows, who I love reading her stuff, is Jessie Williams.
Yeah.
Love her stuff. It's very direct. Krista Tia. I don't know if you've seen Krista's
Yeah, I
stuff,
love
but she's
Krista.
coming on the
She's
potty
amazing.
in a few weeks.
Yeah, she's so cool.
I love all that shit. I love direct. I love real. And
Honest.
something we got questioned about recently was sharing the images of or videos of private moments from the men. Now, my rebuttal to that is like, I can understand how it's a sacred thing. It's private and all the things, but the more we stay in that mindset of not sharing that shit with consent, like we get them to sign everything. We're like, hey, if there's anything you don't want us to show, just let us know.
Yeah.
Like we're very
of course.
respectful around it, but we were like copying shit. It's like, let's normalize not sharing private moments with these new retreats and stuff and sharing people's it's like, why the fuck would we want to do that? Do we not want people to see that other people like them are doing this so they can feel safe in doing the same thing? Do you feel the same way?
Completely.
Cool.
I think, again, what's it mirroring? You're uncomfortable seeing a man.
Don't make me feel uncomfortable. I don't want to see this.
Yeah. You've made me uncomfortable. Now I'm going to let you know that you shouldn't share it.
Yeah.
Everyone, again, clutch to create safety. It's like, keep it scrolling or sign up.
I think the thing that pissed me off was it was like a pretty big influencer in the world. I think. Well, I don't know if I want to say the name because I don't want to make it like it was that person, but it was someone like
bleep it out.
not more so just I don't want to get it wrong, and they go look and they're like, oh, fuck her. It was is it the holistic psychologist Nicole LaPera?
Yeah, potentially.
I think it was her that said it, and I can understand because she's very clinical as well, but as holistic as well.
Well, yeah.
But it's the clinical beliefs, right?
Well, I think even, and again, I don't even want to say this because I probably would be getting this wrong, but I remember having a conversation with a client years ago who did a psychology degree, and I remember her saying that I'm pretty sure you're not even meant to laugh in a session. So the psychologists themselves aren't actually meant to laugh in a in a session with someone because there's regulations around that. So again, it's like our space is unregulated. Psychologists are regulated. You can so see where their perspective
and you
comes
can respect it,
completely. But at the same time, I think there's so much power in how this is being normalized, and it's the most transformative work in the world. And we're just getting started, and it's only a very new industry, and we're going to the moon.
Exactly,
so there's that.
And it's going to be questioned. Like even I shared a reel around an ex-Broncos player, Joshua Maguire, a very, very raw, like talking about how he was about to commit suicide when his family left, but his wife walked back in the house as he was like chained up, right? It's a wild story and it's a lot to listen to, but it's like bringing reality to the reality.
Yeah.
And 99% of people 100% of people that have commented, shared, it's been commented like thousands of times, like, oh my God, I didn't know. I'm so glad to hear this. Makes me feel this, and this. But I copped a message from another podcaster actually saying, hey man, yeah, I saw your video. I've actually spoken to psychologists and stuff, and you got to be careful, which I see where he's coming from, because he's like, you got to be careful sharing that stuff because it can potentially re-traumatize people or give them an idea of how to do it, etc. And I'm like, I can understand that. I can totally understand the clinical side of it, the safety, the red tape, etc. But clearly whatever we're doing, nothing's fucking changing. More people are dying than ever through suicide.
It's the hush-hush mentality as well, and it's not literally speaking, and everyone's trying to do the right thing. But what is the right thing? Because like you said, this is decades of no change. If anything, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, if we want to go there with what's contributing, it's fucking not that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what's contributing to people doing that? There's 1,000 things that we can have a discussion about before we worry about someone bringing awareness.
Yeah, wow. That's a great way to put it, because it's like just our culture in general is sick.
Yeah.
The food we eat, the mentality we have, all the things. So
totally.
We'll have to do a 2.0.
Yeah, 2.0 pending. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. This is like a 2-hour podcast. I do long form convos. This is like people sit here and listen and they're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm just with them right now, which is great, because that's the real shit.
Yeah.
It's not this setup. Like we said, we don't have a table here. Like it's an interview. It's just
nothing's clinical.
Exactly. So the more we can do this sort of conversations, the more people will be like, maybe it's cool to talk about this shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do this with my friend, my family, whatever. So is there anything you'd like to say before we finish up? No, just thank you for having me. And yeah, we'll definitely do a 2.0 at some point. Most definitely. This was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I know how valuable it is. And for anyone listening, please share this. For myself and Riley, people like ourselves, we genuinely want to help. But for me, with I'm building with my community, with Rewire, I want you to feel like you can do the same. So the more you share and get it out to people and reach out to us and tell us how much it helped you, that actually just helps. We all do it together. Yeah. It's not just Riley and I. It's not just who and who. It's you guys listening. You're a part of this movement. We want that to be like that, because as a community and as a culture, we have way more strength than just us. Yeah. Right? We don't have to just be the leaders. Everyone's a leader. Just lead yourself first and we can do the rest. So thank you so much for listening and have an epic day. Thank you. Thank you.